Mark Lee, one of the organizers of 1 Million Cups, Madisonville-Hopkins County. Glad to see everybody here. I want to give a special shout out and welcome to Elizabeth Oldham. She is joining Tom Eveland as two new members of the organizing team. So we appreciate the service you're going to give and the easy job that being welcome to the team, Elizabeth. Want to give a special thanks to Marion. She is rolling off as one of the organizing team members after having given good service since our inception, about 13 months ago. And so we're not putting her out to pasture. I can only put it that way since she's not here. She's going to be told Elizabeth I was resisting the title, eventually becoming senior advisor. We'll put that moniker on Marion. We're going to have an advisor team made of organizers as they roll out after serving the term. And they'll be a little more in the background, but helping the actual organizing team. So I think that'll work well for 1 Million Cups Hopkins County. And do we have any first-timers here today? Okay, yeah, Brother Cotton here, right. If any of you, when you signed in, did not put your email address, please put that down as you exit, especially if you're at all fairly new. We want to make sure that you get the updates. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Pete Bitar. I believe, Pete, other than our presenter that came in from South Dakota with Philly Flair, and her name?
Laura Benson.
Laura Benson, thank you. Other than Laura, Pete, what did I say? Yeah, from South Dakota. Other than Laura, Pete has come the farthest. I think about 4.5 hours from Anderson, Indiana to present. So we're excited to hear what he has to say. I think Pete, having had dinner with him last night, I think he's going to talk some about what innovation can do for a community and about, more specifically, Anderson Innovation Center and also XABS, and I'll let him take the rest. Thanks for coming, Pete.
Thank you.
Please welcome him.
I wanted to thank Mark for inviting me down here. It's really an honor. Mark, I don't know if he mentioned this to you guys offline or not, but Mark is family. My wife has Curtis Lee here. Mark's father is her great uncle, her grandfather's brother.
Emphasize the great.
Great uncle. So anyway, so Mark is, I don't know what that makes you, a second cousin once removed or something. Anyway, so, but it's a real honor to be here, and I'm really blessed to be able to do this. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about sort of my story, the background and innovation and entrepreneurship that I kind of walked through this path, winding as it may have been. We started my company, I started my first company in 1991 doing styrofoam recycling. And I was recycling styrofoam from big packages of TV shipping containers that would come over from overseas. When I lived in Portland, Oregon, it was a port that would bring in a lot of electronics, and they created a lot of waste with these styrofoam boxes around big old TV sets. This was before the LCDs, you know, so this big got their gray tube televisions that they would package, and so you'd have these big blocks of styrofoam, and they would fill the landfills up, and there wasn't really anything you could do about it. Well, the companies that were throwing this stuff away said, you know, if we could do something with this styrofoam and recycle it into a product, then it would save us a lot of money because we're filling our dumpsters with, you know, maybe 100 pounds of styrofoam, and you know, the dumpsters are made to hold tens of thousands of pounds, these big giant dumpsters. And so I had come up with a little invention that would take blocks of styrofoam and turn it into little styrofoam packing units. Just use a hot wire grid and gravity, and it was like very few moving parts. And so I started charging these companies to take it off their hands and recycle it into this loose fill that we would then turn around and sell. And whatever I couldn't sell, I would condense. We would take all the air out of the styrofoam and sell it as raw stock material for other polystyrene applications. Anyway, so I built that business up and sold it in about 3.5 years in 1994. But along the way, one of the things that we had to figure out was how to deal with static electricity, because as you know, styrofoam, very staticky stuff, right? So we figured out how to mitigate some of the static electricity, and in the process of mitigating, I'd been shocked a few times, like really shocked, big lightning bolts coming off of our recycling machine, and I thought, you know, man, this would make a great weapon. Well, fast forward, I moved to Indiana to do some things, met my wife, got stuck there, there, and was happy to be stuck there, but I got some jobs along the way. I was in publishing and some other things. Then I finally got the bug, and I thought, I'm going to start a business. So I started a company called Xtreme Ads. And it was just on the side. I was trying to figure out a way to pay for a hobby. I had this notion in my head that I wanted to fly like a bird. And so they had this new technology called powered paragliding, where you would take a motor with a fan on it and strap it to your back. And you run and take off into the air with a parachute, and you fly around like a bird, basically. And so I did that, and I thought, well, how can I get somebody to pay for this? Because I can't afford to do this by myself. So I went to a local radio station, WZPL in Indianapolis, and I said, hey, I got this great idea. What if we put like your logo on the inside of this thing and flew it around different events and things like that as a kind of a flying billboard? They loved it, so they paid for all my equipment. We did this thing. We actually flew several concerts until the concert venue kicked us out because they said everybody's looking up, they're not looking at our stuff on the ground. So ZPL said, well, I guess we got to stop doing this if we want to keep doing concerts. So I ended up keeping all my equipment, but then I started doing parachute painting for other companies with this little company called Xtreme Ads. And I was doing that on the side for about a year, and then I ended up doing it full time for almost 5 years. So that brings me to about 2002. While I was doing parachute painting, I was looking at other ways to make money. So one of the thoughts I had was, what if I could paint custom camouflage onto military parachutes? And so I started looking at military applications. This is after 9/11, the military budgets were starting to grow. And so I started putting in proposals to the military, and kept getting turned down, but I kept learning every time I turned in a proposal on these parachute painting solicitations. And so after about 4 rejections, I was looking through the solicitations. They used to send out a book before it was all online. They used to send out a book every 6 months, and it would have this list of things that they wanted. And one of the things that came up was, and again, this is 2002, something like 8 or 9 years after I sold my parachute, my styrofoam company. They listed this. They wanted a non-lethal, non-contact sort of lightning bolt throwing system. And I thought, hey, I remember this. So I pulled out, my 10-year-old piece of paper that I had with all my ideas on how to take the styrofoam thing and the mitigation system and turn it into a weapon for non-lethal applications. I submitted it, having no experience. I mean, I'm not an electrical engineer or anything, but they liked the idea and they funded it. So then I hired a couple engineers, and we went after, we built this contract. We delivered a small family of prototypes. Before we even got the contract, they asked me, so what company name is this under? Well, the only corporation I had was Xtreme Ads for parachute painting. And I had sold that off in a license, but I had actually kept the corporate shell. And so I said, well, we can call ads, we can make ads stand for Alternative Defense Systems. And I was just literally winging it just to fill the proposal out. And then we got the proposal, and it stuck. And I said, well, I want to change the name of the company, because that was just a placeholder. He said, no, you can't change the name of the company. It's, you risk losing the contract. And any future contracts, because if you do a good job, they're going to remember your company name. So, okay, so Xtreme Ads became XADS in 2002. So, we delivered this family of prototypes. They gave us a second phase. We delivered another family of prototypes after that, and then they ran out of funding for the non-lethal application just as the war in Iraq was starting to spin up. And they were running into these roadside bombs. And we thought, you know what, we've got this big lightning bolt throwing system. What if you could penetrate the ground with this lightning bolt and detonate explosives underground without having to know where they were beforehand? And so we started doing that. We started experimenting, and we realized that our little non-lethal system, if you tuned it and tweaked it just a little bit, it would actually work to destroy these improvised explosive devices, the IEDs. And so we started spinning up, and we put in some proposals. They loved it. They accepted it. And really, since about 2006 now, we've been pretty much consistently under contract to develop these new technologies under XADS. Now, in parallel, I had some other ideas, and I wanted to invest in some side spin-off projects for research and development that are still kind of waiting to develop into more, but they're starting to catch on now. I ended up starting, as we were doing this, we ended up getting a building that we had been renting, and the machine shop that owned it went out of business, and so we ended up buying a building for a song. 85,000 square feet on 12 acres, and we thought, you know, we only need about 30,000 of this at most. So we started looking to lease it out, and as we were leasing it out, we started finding that the companies that were wanting to lease from us were in 4 major sectors, which were defense and aerospace, and then advanced automotive and energy sectors. And so we started to create a model for basically a private incubator around this space availability. And we started seeing some synergies, companies working together within the facility. We rented it all out, other than what we needed. And so what I'm here to talk to you a little bit about today is the Anderson Innovation Center and what's kind of become of it. We started it almost 3 years ago as a private incubator, but we've effectively become the only active incubator in Anderson now. And we've worked very closely with economic development in the city, with the city government and the county governments, as well as with the state. And it's been very interesting, and it's kind of been an interesting journey that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone. So I'm learning as I go here on the economic development side. But I've also learned a lot of things that we've been able to apply from the journey that we were on with XADS all the way into this economic development, and how to take what I've learned through the defense and aerospace side of things and translate that into something that can be taught and conveyed onto both other businesses as well as students, and you know, all the way from K through 12 into college. And so I'm going to talk to you a little about the Anderson Innovation Center today and some of the things that are going on underneath it. Next slide, please. This is down there. There you go. So, no problem. So this is the NSC. This is 85,000 square feet on 12 acres. The first 6 acres are what are in the frame here, and then there's another 6 acres of land. We've got a quarter-mile test track back there for doing roadside bomb testing, and we test some of the other vehicles that we build. We do CNC machining, we do 3D printing. We have at production level 3D printing. Have anybody heard of 3D printing? It's been kind of popular these days, making a lot of headlines. We actually print in metal as well as plastic, so it's not just prototyping stuff, it's final product. We do engineering, and then again we have testing capabilities on both the test track and as well as indoors. Next slide. These are some of our client companies. You'll notice down at the bottom, toward the bottom, we've got Purdue University. Purdue was looking for space a couple of years ago, and they mechanical, electrical, and industrial technology departments. And so Purdue Anderson started working with the city, and they got funding to lease and then improve some space in our building. So we have now a staff office and a classroom, as well as a mechanical lab for Purdue University under roof with us. So it's been pretty exciting. This fall, they're starting 7 classes in our building. They started 1 last fall when they first started. They did 5 in the spring, now they're doing 7 this semester. So we're pretty excited about that. And the opportunity then for students to get internships within the companies that are under roof, as well as outside of that area, because they've got hands-on experience, has really gone through the roof in terms of their capabilities to be able to talk to other potential employers about. The fact that they've had practical experience with real-world products is a lot better than just having book knowledge. Next slide. These are my companies. XADS being the primary one. PBB Holdings is a little spin-off to do police-related gear. We also have some vehicle manufacturing that we do. And then Airbuoyant is my aerospace research firm. Next slide. This is a snapshot of some of the XADS projects. I don't know if everybody can see that. Can you guys see it? Okay, so this is primarily focused around counter IED applications, improvised explosive devices, or roadside bombs. We have robotic systems all the way up to large vehicle systems. Our least expensive unit costs between $10,000 and $15,000. Our most expensive system goes for over $500,000. So kind of, and everything in between. So we're able to customize our technology to whatever platform the military wants, whether that be a robot all the way up to a large truck or a trailer or whatever. So the way this technology works is it creates a lightning bolt that fires electricity into the ground, and if there's anything conductive there, it will blow it up. And it works very well, and very well tested now. And again, we're still under contract in development. It takes a long time to build full weapon systems for the military, so we've been under constant contract again since 2006. We're hopeful that in the next conflict that the United States gets involved with, where we have boots on the ground, our technology will be forefront to clear the roads of any of these explosive devices, and will save a lot of lives. Next slide. This is a little snapshot of PBB Holdings. We make technologies that are designed to be non-lethal applications and protect people. So we have, right here is what we call Light Shield. This is a small bulletproof shield that's wearable, weighs very low, 2 pounds, and it serves as a quick grab and go sort of bulletproof vest kind of application, but it's worn on the hand, so it can be raised to cover any part of the body. It can also be clipped to a tactical vest or whatever. We also make a series of laser dazzlers, and laser dazzlers, what they do is they're used to temporarily flash blind and disorient a person, prevent them from conducting other aggressive actions against you, whether you're a police officer or a military person. And we've been able to use some of these in the open ocean. That's off the back of a ship that we did with Maersk to protect vessels going through the Gulf of Aden and the African coast against pirates. So, and actually, for all the show and tell today, this is one of our laser dazzlers that looks like a kind of block pistol, but it's all laser. And I'll just fire it. I'll fire it on that wall there. So it basically is designed to temporarily fill somebody's face, and then it has a pulse mode, and you stare into that for any length of time and make you nauseous. So the idea is, you've got the ability to back people down, clarify their intent, and if they don't comply, then you can raise the force on them. But otherwise, it communicates beyond language barriers and let people know that you're serious.
Can you leave that one here?
Yeah, maybe. With a low price.
You've got some teenagers too, don't you, Captain? Yeah.
I was going to offer my services on testing the lightning bolt, but I'm already been there.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to strut all right. All right, next slide, please. We make a couple vehicles. I was telling Mark about my car last night. That's called the Indy Supercar. It was just an experiment. We built it as a street legal race car.
So
0
cool.
to 60 in about 2.7 seconds and about 230 mile an hour top speed. Not sure what we're going to do with that other than try to flip it right now. I'm just trying to sell it at this stage. But we looked at getting into automotive manufacturing, and there's a lot to that. So
Person wants to put a bid on it.
Yeah. I'll test it for you. Yeah, no, it's been tested. It works. And then we made this thing called the Flying Noon Buggy, or the blast vehicle, as well as the platypus ATV. It was made to be dropped from an aircraft for the military and parachuted in, and then it had a fan on it that would allow it to extend the glide of the parachute, kind of like my old days, the backpack landing zone
Wow.
and land either on land or on water, depending on what the mission was. They could take a pontoon kit with them. And then run around the ground at about 70 miles an hour. It was an inexpensive enough vehicle that they could leave it behind if they wanted to. But it was made primarily for Air Force Special Operations Command. Thanks to the sequester a couple years ago, that killed that program. So we tried to civilianize it. And so the vehicle on the top is called the Platypus ATV. We tried to kind of find a little niche, so we used the basic platform from the Blast to make the Platypus, and it's about a 50-mile-an-hour vehicle on the ground, and we sell it for $3,500 retail. So
Not too bad.
we thought maybe we could start selling those in fleet sales. Really haven't done a lot with that yet. It's just kind of on the burner. Next slide. This is Air Buoyant. Air Buoyant's my aircraft and wind turbine and anything to do with moving air research company. We built, in the middle there, we built the Vertipod 2 flying platform. I own the trademark Vertipod, and the idea is vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. So we built the Vertipod 2, and eventually it translated to a wind turbine. We used the same transmission to create a counter-rotating wind turbine. I'll talk about that in a little bit here too, because that's part of some of our economic development effort is drawing people in around projects, and one of those projects is a community set of community wind turbines. We do some aerospace consulting for actual space missions. We have a patent on a missile defense system using lasers. It's classified, I think we'll talk about it. And we make aircraft parts for some other companies. On the upper left-hand corner, that's me off the ground on a system called the Vertipod Hex, and it's an all-electric. You ever seen those little drones? Little 6-motor drones. Okay, this is just like that, except it'll carry 300 pounds. And so it's a drone that'll carry people. And we are talking to Amazon right now about the idea of delivering appliances, not just books. With drones. So
That's crazy.
it's kind of crazy. You don't really want that falling on your head, so you don't all that out. But it will carry a person as well. We also talked about the idea of having an orderable, like, you heard of Uber, the taxi service? So imagine you're walking down the street and you need a lift, literally. You pull your phone out and you say, I'm right here, and this drone shows up, and you just step in this little booth and it picks you up and takes where you want to go and lands you.
Pete, you might want to talk with the company called Lyft, L-Y-F-T, rather than Uber on that.
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. So, except Uber means over, right?
Right, that's
So-
true. That's true.
It worked.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's,
It might not work if you have drunks wanting to ride somewhere and then throw up all over everybody.
yeah, we'll make it an open bottom, how's that? Yeah, just like a grid. Yeah. So we'll thank you, I'll use that. But that's kind of the breadth of what we do on that side of the innovation house. Next slide. So our primary mission with the Anderson Innovation Center is to really do things that enhance innovation. So we'll work with a company all the way from concept to marketing and strategy implementation of how they get that product, get that idea into the marketplace. And a lot of that is part of how we design something too. We also are trying to create synergies between education and academia and the industrial and entrepreneurial world. So we bridge the gap between the idea of an educational experience, whether that's our robotics team that we have. We sponsor a high school robotics team in our building, all the way through college at Purdue, all the way into their careers. And we've already seen that happen. We've seen kids that have gone from the high school robotics team after school program into the Purdue University location in our building. And then we've also seen students graduate from Purdue and get jobs within our building. And 2 of them already have patents with a couple of the companies that are in our building, which is exciting to see that. And that's all just within the 2-year period. So we're very excited to see where the next step is. Next slide. Which leads me to our next step, which we are now working with Anderson City, as well as a local economic development company and Purdue University, in conjunction with the AIC, to create what's called the Polytechnic Innovation Complex. And it's really, we haven't named it yet completely. It's called Plant 3 because it sits on top of an old General Motors plant that used to be in Anderson that's been raised to the ground now. And that land is now available for economic development. They were able to get funding through what's called CREED, which is Community Revitalization Economic District, so that they could take the sales taxes as well as the property taxes that are generated in that area, and that would go toward new projects. So fully funded effort. We're breaking ground in mid-September, and it will be operational for classes for Purdue, as well as 50,000 square feet for industrial innovation space in January of 17. And we're on track to do that at this point. So next slide, there's a few pictures of this. That's the internal layout. We have up here, we have a gallery area that will also be kind of a meeting hall. We'll seat up to 300 people, and we'll have displays of different innovations from both Anderson's history as well as things that are going on that are new, developed in the center or in the city. A whole classroom area here, and then a big hallway that will have displays along the wall as well. And then a commons area and what's called a maker space. And the maker space is this area. It will have machines and 3D printers, CNC machines, welding, all kinds of hands-on applications, and we'll have a staff there that will train people on how to use these tools, so that the stay-at-home mom who has an idea to create a new soap can come in with a membership, and she might have a membership that's she gets 10 visits a year for a few $100s, and she can come in and get trained on how to use equipment and then build her own mold for making that soap mold. And we've already seen some of that happen in our facility. We actually had the governor's wife, Karen Pence, come in and get consulting with us on some ideas on how to make a product that she had come up with. And she told us, she said, being the First Lady of Indiana, you get a lot of calls for people wanting you to sponsor things and be at dinners and whatnot, but nobody actually wants to give you a job. And so she made her own job. She literally sells things online. That's what our First Lady does in Indiana. So she came to us, and she was, she just said, she didn't even tell us her last name. She said, my name is Karen. And she just showed up, and I'm like, are you? Because I knew my Pence pretty well. I said, are you Governor Pence's wife? And she said, yes, I am. So anyway, we had a great time kind of walking her through the innovation process. And that's what the makerspace is going to be all about. It's going to be available to the public. It's going to be available to K-12 schools. It's going to be available in the public, private, whoever wants to be